You've had situations in your life that already prove you aren't enough. You've had situations in your life prove that something bad is going to happen. You're not crazy for fearing that something could go wrong. Hey, everybody. I'm Sarah Evangeline. I'm really glad you're here. On this show, we talk all things rebuilding love from the ground up, especially when we've had some sort of emotional trauma in childhood. Make sure to click the subscribe button, comment below if you're new. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get started. So, I don't know if you're new or not, if you've been following along in this journey with me. I am here to really be a voice for people who don't even know how to speak up about the things that are happening to them. I had a friend share with me back in the summer, and she said, "How do you talk about these things? How do you share these stories that have happened to you?" And I said back to her that it's not really about me, it's about them, it's about the community that I'm serving. But it's also because where I was 10 years ago when I started this healing journey and I started speaking up, I was terrified to speak up. I was terrified of myself. I felt paralyzed and I did not know a way out. It seemed impossible, the entrapment that I was in. And I wish that people were talking about these things. There's a lot of things that we hide. There's the famous thing about fake it till you make it, and I just don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to stressing your body out and covering up anymore. I did it for a long time. I got sucked into a culture with the religion I grew up in and the family dynamic I grew up in where performance equals acceptance, and performance is actually causing a lot of people sickness, disease. Um, Performance is leading people to a life of misery and numbness, numbing themselves to what they really need. Performing equals covering up what we actually need. But let me tell you, performing or people pleasing or being the peacekeeper, it really is like it feeds people who never had emotional safety consistently growing up because it gives them that validation that, oh, we crave acceptance because, you know, we didn't get the consistency that we needed in childhood. So very often we learn to people please. And let me tell you, you will go through a period where you get so angry, like I think the angriest people are people pleasers because they live their whole life trying to please others, but they don't know that they're worthy to give to themselves. And then they bury resentment. So that's a side tangent for another day. But I really just want to create some safety here. Let's normalize your emotions, but also when you come into the space with me, I'm going to hold safety for you, but then we don't stay stuck in the suffering story. You're here to become all of who you are. So you've had people in your life who were supposed to love you, who were supposed to be there for you, let you down. The belief, will it be enough? Am I enough? Will I lose it all? They're really valid beliefs when you grew up with emotional neglect, not having emotional safety, and not being able to rely on your parents. They didn't follow through on their word. And then, of course, the big traumas of just abuse. So I'm opening space for this conversation because 5 months ago, I moved into my dream home and I've had these beliefs surface again. And instead of hiding them, instead of pretending I'm an expert, I want to approach this with integrity, with sharing vulnerably, with integrity and vulnerability, how I've been navigating through this. I'm really being called in 2025 to be more vulnerable, to share pieces that I'm moving through in a way of integrity, but also with the realness that I'm still human. There's a lot of people in the online space who are showing that they're experts, but that's all they're showing. And the last few months I've struggled with it, if I'm being really honest, because I do want to show up like with that integrity that I'm talking about, but and be professional. And I'm here to hold space for you. I'm here to hold space for people where, you know, it does take that expert commitment, but I think we have a wrong definition of expertise. It's like expert does not equal perfect. Expert does not equal fully has all the answers. It takes a leader in this space to be able to admit, I need to take my own medicine that I teach. Everything that I create, it's because I took it first. And my whole life has been, a journey of going first, being asked to go first, feeling the nudge in my soul, and I'll go first into the unknown. Maybe no one else has gone there. So I will continue speaking up about topics that people are too scared to speak about because they're hiding their emotions. That's a process we all go through. We all go through that stage. There's nothing wrong with you, but I will speak up so that you can go, oh, that's how I'm feeling inside. Why hasn't anyone said that? And I'm also going to start sharing more how I navigate through things instead of just teaching things once I'm done. There is a delicate balance, and I'll be honest, I'm learning the delicate balance because I have been turned off by coaches that I've invested in before who will overshare, but it's unintegrated. And so if you can allow, I'm giving myself the permission to do this a little bit more my own way, which is my soul is asking and inviting me to share how I've been navigating the belief of, will I lose it all? Hmm. I moved into my dream home. It has been a gift. Most mornings I wake up and I'm filled with joy and honestly tears. I sit in my house and sometimes I will cry with spirit, but like it's a gratitude cry of just, wow, I'm so grateful that this is my home. I live on the beach now. I have beautiful neighbors. The environment here is so, so beautiful. It just helps me be present. And what I've noticed though is this fear creeps in of, you know, am I going to lose it all? When's the next ball going to drop? And it took me a couple months to recognize and realize that this is the first time in my entire life that I am not in a relationship with someone who's repeating trauma, that I'm not in an environment that's causing my nervous system stress. I'm not going into a job that's, you know, activating my trauma. And I'm not promoting you to be isolated, okay? That's not what I'm promoting. I have people in my life who are showering me the love that I've cultivated within. And I've also had to place some strict boundaries of not everyone gets access to me anymore. I get to teach people how to treat myself. It's been a whole thing. It's been a whole journey. But I realized that and I'm like, oh my gosh, my body is still trying to grasp at something outside of itself that it needs to be in defensive. I went through a breakup back in April, 6 or 7 months ago, with someone that I love dearly, someone that I'm very grateful for in the journey of this life. This person taught me a lot, and also it was not in integrity to continue. And at the same time, taking separation from that and detaching from that and moving into this safe space helped me realize that that person was filling the void of this fear of, will I lose it all? It's so interesting, guys, and I'm going to talk it out. I'm going to let this flow, and I hope that you can take something that resonates, and I hope that I can just be vulnerable and real as uh, how I've been navigating through this. And the thing is that there was a memory while I was integrating this and working through this, and allowing myself to feel it. Like we have to meet it. That's what my whole thing is about that I teach on here is meeting our emotions instead of bypassing them, instead of numbing them. And I think it's really, really beautiful when we can feel. There's nothing more beautiful than being able to feel everything after living a life of not feeling anything. I'm grateful for the pain, but I also know that I get to be in control of my emotions and they don't get to control me. So the difference between the two guys is myself 5, 10 years ago, when feelings like this would come up, they would overwhelm me. They would send me into a panic attack. I'd be a mess for months. Now it is right. I know how to regulate. I know how to coach myself. I sit with it. I take responsibility for the patterns that are playing into it and I change them in real time. I give my inner child the love and safety she needs to be nurtured and to help her see that it's safe to trust in this new space again. That's the difference. And if you want support like that so that you can, you know, love yourself and not be paralyzed by loneliness and fear, there's a link below to work with me. I have 2 spots open for VIP clients. You can apply below, and I'd love to meet you. But let's dig into this a little bit deeper. I would love things and I would love people, but then they wouldn't show up for me. There, there's a memory that came up in my reflections. I didn't force it up. It just came up while I was integrating. And it was this memory of like it holds such a dark cloud. And it's this memory of my parents were going through a divorce. I was 4 years old. The school was very close to my home at the time that they both lived in, and that's where they got divorced. I would walk home on my own all the time. And no one communicated to me that no one would be home. And this happened more than once, but even just once, it can be really, really hurtful to a child's development because it's a form of abandonment. So I would go home, but no one was home. And one day, it was raining out, it was dark, and I'm banging on the door, but no one comes. And for hours, I'm outside crying. And that loneliness that I felt as a little girl, where mom and dad didn't answer the door, that came up when I first moved in here. There was only me and me when I moved in here. There was only me and me. Huh. I feel like someone needs to hear that. So, will I lose it all? Of course it came up. Of course it came up. We are sometimes so hard on ourselves and we think, like I would say to myself, Sarah, like you don't have anything to look for to be wrong. Stop trying to look for what could be wrong. But we need compassion. We need to nurture our inner child because, of course, she fears this because it happened so many times over and over and over again. She'd get her hopes up, and then mom never came to the basketball game. She'd get her hopes up. Oh, but dad didn't follow through on what he said he would. She'd get her hopes up, but mom and dad are abusing each other. It's it's this, it's really, really sometimes it doesn't come up until it's ready to become up. I say this to my clients all the time. They're cultivating safety, they're seeing shifts happen in their life. And then, 2 months into working with me, they're like, why does it feel like I'm going backwards? I've had all these emotions come up. And I say to them, these emotions are not new. Any emotion that you have come up because you're giving yourself safety is because you're finally giving yourself safety. I've never looked at this fear before. Not really. Maybe it's been there, but like I never had the safety to actually go, right, I've got to look at this now. I get to look at this now. The more safety you cultivate, the emotions that you have suppressed will come up so that you can finally walk through them into completion. And this is why a lot of people will choose to numb themselves because that part is where a lot of people quit on their self-healing because it's hard to sit with that and go, okay, I'm going to meet the fear that I experienced at 4 years old, a pattern that started that love equals abandonment, love equals I'm going to lose this person. In my mid 20s, I finally started to open myself up to love. I dated a lot when I was younger, but nothing serious because I was such in a place of dysregulation. I was just trying to get through the next day that I would escape a lot. I would really like someone, I would date them, but then I wouldn't let myself get too close to them and I would go travel and I would just escape. And finally, in my mid 20s, I started to open myself up to a man and long story short, we started planning our wedding and he called me and in one phone call, I found out that everything was a lie and he didn't love me. There was a lot of other stuff, but I won't get into that. That sent me down that spiral again that, oh my gosh, I loved someone. I opened up my heart to someone. I trusted someone, and they're not fully showing up. They're not keeping their word. I'm sure that you can take this in for yourself and go, yeah, yeah, where is that playing out in your life? I ended another relationship in April where it just wasn't aligned for me and me anymore. My body couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't aligned in what I was building. And when I moved in here, I saw that there's a piece of me that finds significance through someone who's not going to fully show up for me because I found significance through my parents who did not know how to give me emotional stability. It's all connected. It's all connected. And at the same time, I want you to know that we're here to rewrite these stories. We're here to move on to the other side of the page. I am moving on to the other side of the page. Saying no to this person in April was the last string of this chapter. Yes, I'm on another chapter. I've got a lot to learn. I'm building an empire. I don't even know if I like that term. I'm building a community. I am building a safety net for people who need this kind of safety that they never had in childhood. My biggest motivation is to get up and just be present with the safety that I now have and I'm cultivating every day and to share it with others. 10 years ago, when I had just released my book, um, I was performing my way through life. I looked really good on the outside. I had all this inner turmoil within me, all this insecurity. I wrote a book, but I was never taught to embody it. Um, so I lived my life through autopilot survival mechanisms from my head. I was disconnected from my emotions and my body. This is why I'm here. I'm here to give you guys tools and a solution that connects you back to your whole body, not just your mind. You can't think your way out of trauma. Your body sits in your trauma, or your trauma sits in your body. And up until that point, I you don't know. Sometimes you don't know. That's why you need the compassion and there's no judgment or shame here because you don't know until you know sometimes, until it all starts crumbling. And that's what happened to me is I came out with this book and 6 months later I was in my bed and couldn't get out because everything was starting to pile up. I couldn't ignore or bypass myself anymore. And it felt most days like it would be impossible to move on from that space. I was terrified. Everything seemed unknown, but I made a promise to myself that one day I was going to be happy. This wasn't going to be forever. And I felt this voice within me say, yeah, there's more for you. And I can tell you that when I've moved here and I allowed myself to cultivate this safety fully, you know, I've had moments of like deep gratitude again with the universe and God of just like, I fulfilled my promise to myself. I'm here now. It's here. It's all right before me. Everything I need is right here in this space of safety. It's really, really profound. And I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. And, at the beginning of when I started my business 4 or 5 years ago, um, my neighbor across the street was the first person I hired. Side story. The lady across the street is the first person I hired to help me start my business. And now she's my neighbor. You never know where this life is going to take you. So beautiful. So many things have come full circle for me. Um, very grateful for her. And at the beginning of starting my business, she really helped me see that there were parts within me that weren't safe. And it's something I teach my clients. I mean, my nervous system tool I've developed, but she helped me, you know, write down, I am worthy to be me. And that was the foundation of me to start my business. And that's now like the foundation that I teach other people. And I was in my office one day a couple months ago. I have this beautiful whiteboard with all the things that I'm creating and goals and prayers and affirmations. And at the top, it has build it and they will come, which is kind of funny because that's a scripture. But I don't go to church anymore and I don't call myself a Christian. But there's the truth reigns through of I don't go to church anymore. That's a side note because I don't subscribe to the sin program. That's a man-made program of for control and fear it, and it actually amplifies people's trauma. I instead every day is a ceremony with God, and I live in the abundance that we are. It's our natural birthright. And when you fall for the sin program, it magnifies there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with you. That's a whole journey. But there is truth in scripture. And when you remove yourself from that and you integrate the truth without the manipulation and the conditional love that was programmed in, it comes through. So, anyways, I've got build it and they will come. But then I wrote underneath it and it just came through so naturally through me. And it said, show me how good it can get now that I'm fully safe. And then I looked up and I just started crying as a lady across the street helped me start this. And here I am. Like, can you just sink into where you are in the present moment? Because in the present moment, you have everything you need. You have everything you need. And the next step is yours. I opened the door to my bedroom when I first moved in here, and I opened it with my body shaking, and I said out loud, Sarah, what the hell did we just do? Because I feel like I came into the space here and this space is here and I had to calibrate. My body went through a huge purging. Um, I had to learn to rest. I'm really, really in a deep place where I'm learning to surrender and be more than I've ever had to in my entire life. And it's so beautiful. It's messy and it's beautiful. And the reason why I want people to know that their emotions are safe because your emotions are teachers. The fear, am I going to lose it all, has been the greatest teacher to help me calibrate into safety here. I've been able to meet my inner child, I've been able to reparent in her without the distraction of someone trying to pull me into manipulation. So often we find our worth through people who never knew that they were worthy. And what we need to do is start to cultivate we are worthy. And you are becoming on this journey. You are becoming all of who you are. But do you know what becoming is? It's unlearning the things that you've had to put on yourself to mask and filter who you truly are. It's unlearning to become. I've been having to unlearn certain things to become. So yeah, it was like this dark cloud came up into my life again, and the loneliness, it was like a dark cloud. I don't know how to describe it. Is that I purged for a month. My clients were so gracious. I still fully showed up for them, but that's all I was basically doing for the first month that I moved in was the clients that I currently had. I showed up for them. and I let my body rest. And when you grow up in that performance, you've got to do in order to be worthy. You've got to achieve in order to receive. That was really hard. It was like, oh my gosh, like, but the thing is, I learned very quickly that if we force it, it prolongs the sickness. Not that I don't believe I was sick. I believe my body was going through what it needed to clear out and to help me alchemize and let go of the past that was not serving me, both energetically and physically. And so, when you get sick, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm sick and I just need to get over this," say, "My body's healing me. My body knows exactly what to do." Um, but when you grow up in this performance, people pleasing in order to get validation because you didn't have the emotional safety, we think that we have to give up ourselves in order to save someone. This also feeds the fear of, am I going to lose it all? What's wrong? What's going to go wrong next? Um, because we think you have to save people. But I don't know, can you just like be present with me for a moment and just reflect with yourself? Because as I was kind of taking notes about what was channeling through for just sharing this vulnerably with you guys, is that like whenever I would try to fix someone or get some sort of validation by pleasing someone, there was like this deep pit in my stomach because I knew deep down I couldn't actually save them and that it was like ripping me apart from who I truly was, but I didn't know who the hell I was. It's this, it's an entanglement, guys. It's not just this. This is why you can't just heal through mindset. It's the whole body, mind, soul, spirit, all of it. We need all of it to be connected because it's so multi-layered. That's why this fear did not really come up until I moved into this place. And then I could integrate it and look at it and nurture it. It's all happening for you. It's all happening for you. But it's hard to do that if you're fighting yourself, And a way we fight ourselves is we think we have to save people. And, the best thing that you can do for your parents, the best thing that you can do for the past version of yourself that didn't know how, is embodying the love and acceptance that you never received, embodying it now. And I think when I gave myself that permission slip of, oh yeah, Sarah, of course you think that. It's been proven to you already by other people. It's like I cleared a resistant wall to go, right, but no matter what, I'm not going to lose myself. That's my commitment. My commitment is I don't have to punish myself and put pressure on myself in order not to lose it all. I want you guys to hear me with this. When we've had emotional trauma, when our parents weren't there for us, in adulthood, a big way that this pattern plays out is we will punish ourselves for having these fears, for having these thoughts. And when we punish ourselves with putting pressure on ourselves that we should be further ahead, putting pressure on ourselves that we shouldn't be thinking this, putting pressure on ourselves that just get out of it. Whatever it is, whatever the pressure is, it's sometimes it's an inner critic of like forcing you to be not present with yourself. That's usually what it is. Um, like maybe you fall into a bad habit and you notice that you're doing it and then you shame and judge yourself for it. That keeps you in the past. The way that you can, and this is what I did, the way that you can move past the fear into integration is by no longer punishing yourself for the emotion that's coming up. That's how you change the story. Because then you're able to look at what do I actually need in this moment? It may mean no logical sense. There was 2 weeks in October that I think I worked like a minimum or a maximum of like 3 hours a day. My body needed to go to the gym. Would spend like 4 hours at the gym. Everything worked out. It's like the universe was showing me like, yeah, you're not going to lose it all if you give your body what it needs so that guess what? The next month I was in such a routine. It's like it's like I just snapped into it, but I needed that time. Okay. I moved in July. We're now in December. I didn't feel settled in fully until just a month ago. It's kind of funny. One of my best friends, he helped me move in. And I was saying to him when we were packing up my truck, oh, it's just going to take me a few days to move in. And he just looks at me and he's like, he's moved a lot in his life. He's like, Sarah, it's going to take you weeks, if not months. Do not put that pressure on yourself. We need people like that in our lives. And I'll send him a voice note and I'll be like, yeah, you're right. And, can you give yourself permission to love yourself where you are at? Can you just ask yourself, what do I need? And can you go give that to yourself? For me, it was going to the gym. I would sit in the sauna. I would be in the pool. And guess what? Creativity would flow through me. You can't force it. Like when you sit at your desk or you force yourself to go do something, like you need to give yourself permission to give yourself what you need. It was a few weeks ago when I made a commitment to myself to enjoy the lead up to Christmas. I started calling in magic, reminding myself that I am the magic. That's another part that I've been rewriting over the last number of years is just Christmas time was so stressful as a child, and I don't subscribe to it being that stressful, commercialized Christmas. It gets to be safe, it gets to be peaceful. I want to enjoy the holiness of this month, the sacredness, the ceremony of this month. And then I realized the loneliness. It's not here. It's not here. I'm actually deciding not to do Christmas with my family this year. I've been feeling it all year, and actually making that decision was very, very freeing. Um, and the thought of, waking up on Christmas by myself, I'm not really by myself. And I thought to myself, what a gift it is, though, to give myself that gift this year of not being lonely. I think last year, if I was honest with myself, I was with a partner that I felt really lonely with. And even though I was with him last year, I woke up lonely. It's very interesting, this journey. It's beautiful and it's messy. I've also decided that fear doesn't get to steal away the moments of right now. It's this delicate balance of I'm going to take space for the fear. I'm going to reparent my inner child. I'm not going to bypass, I'm not going to numb. And the power of my decision that fear does not get to dictate how I feel today is what catapults me into the direction I want to go and not staying in the past. I want you to hear me when I say this. In this human experience, you're going to have fear come up. It's up to you if you're going to let the fear dictate your day or bring the fear with you and reteach the fear to trust and love again. Another beautiful technique I'll leave you with is just place your hand on your stomach and say to yourself, just a part of me is scared. Just a part of me is scared. Usually it's your inner child. And then also say in the same sentence, and I'm going to tap into the part of me that knows. I'm going to tap into the part of me that's worthy. I'm going to tap into the part of me that's wise, that knows that I am allowed to take up space, that I can enjoy and surrender into the present moment where nothing will be taken away from me that is not meant for my highest good. I started tapping into fun. I started to say yes to things like I have made every single angle of this home feel so nourishing, feel so me. It's my own signature. Every corner, every corner, every corner. So, like, Where are you denying yourself love? When I first moved in, my logical brain was saying, don't buy yourself a couch. You have a couch. It's okay. You don't need a couch. My heart desired the couch. Finally, 2.5 months later, I gave myself the couch when it came in and elevated the whole space. Everything else just fell into place. My body felt like it could go, oh, I'm home. Don't deny love for yourself, even if it logically doesn't make sense. Give that to yourself, and you will see how good it gets to be now that you're safe. And, like do a deep clean to bring in more energy, new energy. And, there's just, it's really important that my home feels safe. I want every aspect of my home to feel like I'm being held, but I'm the one that created that. I created it. I created the safety here, and I'm going to continue creating the safety here. I'm going to continue to share this with you guys so that you can come home to yourself. So, yeah, just place your hand on your stomach. Just a part of me is scared, and I'm going to tap into the part of me that knows. Hmm. You have nothing to fear in this lifetime. You have nothing to fear in this lifetime. Remember who you are. It's love. When we come home to ourselves, when we take that time to be safe, we come home to the truth of love. And love casts out all fear every time. I really hope that you found encouragement and something beautiful through this channeled message of me sharing with you the truth. I'm navigating, I'm someone who had emotional trauma. I'm someone who is rebuilding love from the ground up. And some people teach manifestation and quantum leaping. And yeah, I will say that there's a part of me that quantum leaped into this reality. I started envisioning this home every single day, and it came into my reality without looking at any ads. I was meditating. I was letting my heart's desires be fully open. It came into my reality within 6 weeks of deciding that I was worthy of this place. But what people don't teach is when you quantum leap, you also quantum crumble. And I don't want to teach you just, oh, the fluffy stuff. I want to teach you the real stuff. I'm not here to fake it. I'm not here to tell you that when you fully say yes to your life, it's all going to be just easy. It gets to be easy. You get to enjoy your life. But when a lot of people will bypass themselves, and it's when we get to sit with our emotional pain that we see, again, I've said this before in this message, our emotions are our teacher. So can you shift that perspective that your emotions are teaching you? Your emotions are guiding the way. The fear helped guide me to be here today, to feel so good to share this message without any shame or judgment or punishing myself. All right. Merry Christmas. Have a beautiful, magical lead up to Christmas. Allow yourself to bask into the magic. You are the magic. Wake up and expect magic. Be realistic. Expect magic. All right. That's all I have for you today. Hit the subscribe button, continue following along, and I'll talk to you soon.